Welcome to the Bodybuilding Banter podcast, your number one source of all things bodybuilding. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on future episodes. Now, here's your host, Leroy Rollins.
Let's start from the beginning. What got you into bodybuilding?
Believe it or not, I was actually a little bit more into martial arts when I was younger. I was doing like a lot of kickboxing, Chinese kickboxing, American kickboxing, and the gym I was training at had like an actual traditional weight training gym attached to it.
Right.
So I started hitting the weights and fell in love with it. I've been going for 17 years straight.
17 years in the game. How old are you?
17 years. Yeah, I'm 30, about to turn 31.
Right on. So
So 13 when I first started at it.
Good stuff, man. Did you did you follow bodybuilding like when you got into your teens? Like, were you interested? Like, did you look up to like Arnold and them guys, or was it just kind of something you fell into?
I was more so like the Animal Pack era. That was like the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s when pretty much all like the muscle magazines, Flex, Muscular Development. Yep. It was all about like the hardcore Animal Pack ads. That kind of roped me into it.
Yeah, I couldn't.
And not gonna lie, that still kind of frameworks my training today. I definitely train a little bit harder than I should.
Yeah, I couldn't go to Walmart and get groceries without going home with one of those magazines with my mom. Right, I'd always be flipping through, and yeah, those old Animal Pack ads with. I remember Frank McGrath was the one that really stood out to me when I would see it, and I'd be like, "Whoa, this is some cool shit."
Yeah, he was the poster boy. Him, Eric Fankhauser, Evan Centopani, also an East Coast guy. Yeah, man.
Right on. So let's transition then into like serious into bodybuilding. When did you start getting interested in competing and stuff? How old were you and all that?
I first started to get interested in 2009. It was towards the end of my sophomore year of college. The owner of my gym that I train at, Platinum Fitness in Ronkonkoma, New York, Suffolk County, he was a competitive bodybuilder in the 70s and the 80s.
Okay.
And he kind of saw my passion for the sport. I love to train. I was in the gym almost every day. He kind of pushed me in that direction. Guy's name is Dave Pomponio. Been around for a while. And been hooked ever since, man.
Nice. Let's go through the show history. How many have you done? Obviously, along the lines there was a pro card. So let's talk about that journey.
I've done 5 shows, not that many, and across 3 seasons. My first 2 seasons, that was in 2011 and 2013. I only did 1 show each season, which in hindsight was a big mistake.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So my first show in 2011, the WNBF Hercules, New York City. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't really cut into that. I kind of bulked into that show. I'd never been to a bodybuilding show by that point. So I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I just trained hard, ate as much as I could, and got on stage.
Yeah.
I took 5th out of 6th in a novice class. So I've relatively come a long way. Definitely humble beginnings.
Okay, so that was 2011. So then between 11 and 13, what'd you do?
I did a lot of research, and I realized that you actually have to diet for a bodybuilding contest.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah, and I bulked again till February of 2013. So I had like an 18-month off season.
Nice.
And then I prepped from February of 13 into that same show. I did the novice class again, the Hercules, and I took 2nd place in my novice class.
Okay.
So still kind of not really totally connecting the dots yet. I didn't have a coach at the time.
Yep.
Which that I'll enter. That was really what helped me connect the dots and win a pro card.
Nice. So 13, we come 2nd. Then what's plan of action after that?
I kind of took not a hiatus from the sport, but a hiatus from competitive bodybuilding.
Sure.
Because I during the time from 2013 to 2018, when I had my most recent season, I became a cop, so I had to go through the police academy.
Sure.
I got married. I bought a house, which I know is something you're going through right now too. Which I
man, as of yesterday, I'm officially a homeowner again. Good times.
Good for you, bro. Awesome. So it's commendable to be able to prep during that with all that going on. So.
It's
Life's
crazy right now.
How did your wife handle it with everything going on? Well, your fiance.
Yeah, she's good, right? We've been together 4 years now, so me competing is nothing new to her.
All right, good.
Definitely with everything that's going on right now, we're kind of just reevaluating things, especially with me, competing in the fall. It's starting to look like that's not going to happen, as unfortunate that is, but that's the risk we took going into it. It's something that I already mentally had accepted because there was likelihood it was going to happen. So, as of right now, we're pushing back to the spring again, which was the original game plan. I was more so, we originally were going to go spring, and then I was, once I found about this show in the fall in Western Canada where there's less cases, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to get there because I'm in Ontario, which is like the hot spot of it all right now. Rest of Canada is pretty case free, so not anything local as far as competitions. I really didn't have a lot of options, so I was like, okay, maybe we can head to Alberta in the fall. But now what I learned, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but from what it sounds like, is that traveling from province to province, you have to do a 14-day quarantine upon entry. And so this is what was going to happen. I was going to have to go to the show 2 weeks early, quarantine in my hotel room, try to still prep, which, come on. And then upon returning to Ontario after the fact, quarantine again for another 14 days. So that's a month off work. That's paying for the hotel prior to the show for it just
that's a commitment, man.
and it's not feasible, right? And my coach, I'm working with Cliff Wilson, and he said, man, it's not a matter of if, training in your hotel room with bands and push-ups 2 weeks before the show. It's not a matter of if it's gonna be a detriment to your physique. It's how much.
How bad?
He's like, you're not gonna step on stage under those circumstances at 100%. I'm like, and as soon as he said that, I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. It's not worth it at that point. Yeah.
No, especially
you've been training out of your house now, right? You got a pretty good setup at your house?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of shit. I've got some adjustable stuff, and I built a squat rack outside. I don't know if you'd seen any of the footage.
Yeah, saw that. That's awesome, man.
It got the job
cement
done.
Plates? Yeah.
Yeah. But now that we've got this, so I've been stockpiling gym equipment from all these gyms closing. I have almost a fully furnished gym in storage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So now that we have this,
will you go back to a gym once they open up, or are you could exclusively train at home now?
The goal when we started house shopping was to have a space that I could turn into, because I coach as well. So to have a space that I could not only run my business, but also continue to further my career as an athlete out of. And make it this little bodybuilding dungeon, you know what I mean? Those gyms are just so cool to me, and there's nothing like that around. So I've got most pieces that I need. So now it's just a matter of getting plates and dumbbells and stuff, which I'll do over time. But we get the house in 3 weeks, and I'll have I've got leg extension, leg curl, leg press, hack squat, chest fly,
you got a lot.
Smith. Yeah, bro. I stocked up on a lot of stuff because the prices were so cheap because they had to get rid of stuff from all these gym closures. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start taking action now and store it. Then when we do find a place, we've got a gym. So between the stuff that I have now with the little adjustable weights and stuff, and now all this new equipment, I just needed a space. I needed a home for my home gym.
I like that you get the equipment first before the home.
Yeah, I'll figure it out later. I'll buy the equipment now, and I'll figure the rest out as I go.
That's awesome, yeah. And like you were saying, it's kind of like a throwback to the cheesy animal pack ads, man. Making a hardcore dungeon gym. There's something to be said about training in that kind of environment. Yeah, and that's what I want. I want a space that I can just, meet head out. I've got all the equipment. The problem also is the gym that I go to, there's a few pieces they don't have. So I was going to 2 gyms. So I was splitting my time between 2 gyms. So 2 gym memberships. So financially that adds up, and then splitting your time. So I was like, I'm just going to buy everything I want, and then I'll be good. Perfect. Yeah, be set.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, man. So when did you turn pro? What show? How was the prep? Get into those details.
All right, so my last season was in 2018.
Yep.
I did 3 shows.
Okay.
I did one in May of 18 in New Jersey. That was kind of my warm-up. I was about 85% ready at that point.
Sure.
And this is the first time I ever hired a coach. Ryan Sullivan, Cy Unison Fitness.
Okay.
So this was kind of the game changer for me. My posing sucked, which it still sucks. That's an area I need to improve on for sure. He spent hours with me tweaking poses to I actually kind of look like I know what I'm doing on stage, barely.
Nice.
But anyway, so I did a show in New Jersey in May. I took second place in the lightweight class, men's open. This is the first time I ever did an open class.
Yep.
So I got beat out by one guy. So then in June of 2018, this was like the second week of June, I did a show in Connecticut. It was Fulton's Fitness. It was like INBF National Connecticut.
Okay.
I won my class. I won the open bantamweight class, and then I got edged out in the overall by a heavier guy. I think he was like a middleweight or a heavyweight.
So
he won the pro card.
Real quick, you were bantamweight. So did you get leaner then, or was the
I
weight cutoff different?
I did get leaner, but I actually had to not eat for about 24 hours to make that weigh in. I was hovering like 152, 153. With still a little bit more room to get leaner. Like, I wasn't completely peeled head to toe like some of these guys are.
Yep.
But I guess it was good enough. But
yep.
So I actually came full circle. A week after that show in Connecticut, I went back to the INBF Hercules in New York. The shows I did the novice class in 2011, 2013.
Yep.
I wound up winning my bantamweight class, and then I took runner up in the overall. And the rules in the INBF, there needs to be 8 guys in your class to award a pro card, like per class for a super pro qualifier.
Okay.
There were 5 guys in my class. So they gave out 2 pro cards amongst the whole show. So to the overall winner, who guy was a monster. He had like 50 pounds on me. And then I took runner up and got the pro card there. Sick,
man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's been a lot of fun. So I love to train. Competing's just a means to an end.
Yeah. That's I'm learning that as like I'm 26, right? So I've been competing. Okay. I've been competing since 2015 now. So we're 5 years in, almost 6 years into competing, right? And I've done, it's always interesting when I hear guys say like 3 or 4 shows because I'm like 10 deep.
Oh wow, you got that many under your belt. That's awesome.
I've been.
You can see it though, dude. Your posing is stellar. Your stage presence is awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So
I move like a robot.
Now I'm on the cusp of trying to figure out. That's why I like being able to do this with guys like yourself that have done the next thing, because my goal now is to turn pro, right? That's the next step. So talk to me about your training, because me and you are technically the same weight class, and you've got a lot of dense muscle. Talk to me about how you train, your attitude towards training, how you structure things, all that kind of stuff.
All right. So do you want to from the beginning, because my training has evolved over time?
Give me the most relevant to you turning pro.
Okay. All right. Very good. Most relevant to turning pro is somewhat of a periodization.
Okay.
I tend to train 6 times a week. Every body part either twice or 3 times a week. Right now, my favorite split I've been running is upper lower, upper lower, upper lower off. The first 2 sessions are like the 5 to 10 rep range, heavy.
So high intensity, yep.
High intensity, yeah. Usually, more often than not, I'm training 0 RIR. So it's just how I prefer to train. I know it might not be the best.
I love that conversation. You got like the RIR, and then you've got the train to failure guys on this side. I would say I probably lean more towards the intensity side of things.
It's just more fun. That's the only reason why. I know it may not be optimal, but
I think that's what it comes down to, right? If it's what you enjoy and it's what you can, adhere to and continue to make progress with, then like I'm not going to worry about if you want to leave 1 in the tank or 0 in the tank, because it's more so whatever you're going to enjoy. And they've both worked, right? You can't argue one's better than the other, I don't think, because you're going to see guys at the top of the sport that train like freaks to failure every set, but then you're going to see guys at the top of the sport that are freaks that train with 2 or 3 reps in the tank on every set. So
with twice the amount of volume, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of to each their own. But so then 48 hours rest, I'll hit it again, kind of like 10 to 20 rep range.
More volume.
More volume, yeah. And then the third set for that muscle group with the upper lower, like the third session of the week, it's a lot of intensity techniques. A lot of drop sets, a lot of cluster sets. That's where I kind of take it to failure and beyond, because I have that day off, which will give me 72 hours to recuperate for upper and lower. Then I restart the process and deload when necessary.
So when you do, say, like what's your exercise selection? I guess I could ask, right? So when you do like the first batch of upper lower, I would assume from it being the more higher intensity, it's probably more compound movements.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
Like as of right now, my heavy upper right now, it's incline dumbbell press.
Yep.
With weighted chin ups.
Yep.
Then I do kind of like a Meadows row variation, like a dead stop dumbbell row.
Sure. With
weighted dips. And I'm training out of my basement and out of my precinct right now too, so it's kind of bare bones.
Yep. So, and then legs.
Legs right now, my legs are definitely my strongest body part. I grew them mostly by squatting, but squat obviously, high intensity, high reps. But I had the genius idea in 2018 after I competed. I had the goal of squatting 315 for 20 for 5 sets.
Cool.
Fuck. about a month into training for that, I tore my lateral meniscus, my right knee.
Shit.
So yeah. So being shredded and trying to hit 100 reps of 315 in a workout was not a good idea in hindsight.
Fuck.
Like I said, I tend to train a little too hard, get ahead of myself.
So are you typically doing like 1 or 2 exercises per muscle group on these days then? So on an upper day, it's like some kind of press and stuff, and then a dip, and then some kind of row and some kind of pull up?
It's usually 2 to 3 exercises with about 4 to 5 total sets. So
do you do direct arm and shoulder work on those days as well?
I don't do much arm work because just genetically my arms are a pretty strong body part.
Okay.
So I can actually get my arms to grow just doing like 6 direct sets a week. That's for biceps and triceps.
Yep.
However, my delts are my weakest body part. I'm hitting minimum 20 sets a week. Usually 20 up to 30 sets.
Lots of lateral work?
Lots of lateral work. Yeah. Upright rows and laterals. And they can take a beating. Like 20 to 30 sets in recovery is no problem.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys with like really impressive shoulders. They don't necessarily like have crazy pressing work. It's a lot of just like cables, dumbbells, laterals, like any way you can a lot, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, hitting it from different angles. I'm still progressing, but mainly hitting it from different angles, not just straight up pressing. So
then comparatively to the higher volume days, what's your exercise selection like and rep schemes?
Still very basic. I tend to throw in a little bit more machine work.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
Higher volume,
nicer on your joints.
What was that?
Nicer on your joints too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I'll still be doing like a chest press variation or some kind of row variation, but usually a machine. Something that's a little bit safer to do drop sets or cluster sets.
Yeah.
So the trend is high intensity. Like I always train pretty close to failure, sometimes to failure and beyond. But like I said, I've been training for 17 years, so I can tell when I need to pull back. I have no problem taking a light week and just cruising if I need to.
Yep.
But
go ahead.
For me, I feel like the density that I built my physique is just through sheer intensity. So.
Yeah, you see the guys that have like, enhanced and natural that just have that hard looking physique. It's just weight. You know what I mean? It's weight on their back from a squat. It's pulling some heavy shit off the floor in a deadlift. Like pressing 120s on incline. You know what I mean? Like you can't fake that stuff.
Absolutely. I remember Dorian Yates' podcast. He was saying you look at someone's arm that was built through like voluminous training. It could be the same size as someone's arm like his, and the look's just going to be totally different.
Yeah.
Like the guy that trains more intense, he's going to look like a carved out of stone, or the other guy's just going to look big, like same size, but not as dense.
Yep, for sure. I agree. Yeah. It's something that sometimes you got to throw science out the window because you can't quite put your finger on it, but like you look at it and you're like, okay, there is a bit of a discrepancy here based on how you two guys are training and how different your physiques look.
Absolutely, yeah. I like to keep up to date with the science and the literature, but at the same time, it's like stuff the meatheads have been accomplishing for a long time. It's all the science does is just prove what they've been doing,
Yeah, it's I can't remember who said it, but it's like turns out the bros were right after all. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The old bro science might have a place.
Yeah, it definitely has a place. Yeah, for sure.
So when you are in the off season, talk to me about nutrition and stuff, because there's the one camp, which is where I'm from. So currently working with Cliff, for example, I have like macros and stuff, whereas previous off seasons I've been basically eat big, get big mentality.
Absolutely.
Which has worked, right? I can't deny it. So I'm learning slowly. His style is different than what I'm used to. So when you're in the off season and you're trying to make progress over the 18 months, like you'd mentioned earlier, Are you structured with nutrition? Are you just trying to eat a lot and lift a lot and let your body do what it's going to do?
I'm relatively structured in the off season. I don't track macros, but I definitely eat mindfully.
Yeah.
I try to hit 4 to 5 protein feedings across the day.
The basics, yep.
Pretty simple to do. Basically, I weigh myself every couple of days, and if the scale is not going in the right direction, whether up or down, depending upon the goal, I'll make a conscious effort to eat a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm a creature of habit, so I pretty much eat the same thing every day. Yep. Like I said, I'm a cop in New York City, so I bring my food with me everywhere I go.
Yep.
So I'm eating basically the same foods every day. If I'm not gaining, I add a little bit more. If I want to cut, and I'm not in contest prep, I'll just remove a little bit.
Yep.
So,
and do you allow, in the off season, the term cheat meals is kind of weird, but like, do you allow yourself some flexibility with that kind of stuff? Like when it comes to like treats with family, or if you're gonna go for dinner, just whatever.
I mean, as you can see on this podcast, I'm a pretty boring dude. So, like, if I'm going out to dinner with my wife, I'm going to get, like, a steak and potato.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with bodybuilding. It's just what I prefer. Like, yep. I'm a plain dude. Yeah.
It works. It works, right? That's bodybuilding. Yeah. That's bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the life we live. That doesn't sound weird to me at all, because I do the exact same thing. And for most people listening, they're probably going to be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, creatures of habit. Yeah. That's why we gravitate towards this sport.
What's your weight change from peak off season to prep, or the end of prep, I guess?
I get up to about 180 pounds. 180. So I get a little bit heavier, yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Yeah, see, I get up to 192.
It works for you though, man.
At
you can feel 5'7". So yeah.
So I was chasing 200 just to stroke my ego, but I didn't get it. I just want to see it once. I don't care if it's at the end of the day after Christmas dinner. I just want to see it once.
That's like every guy's goal in their life. They want to see over 200 pounds once.
Yeah. And then I'll step on stage at 145 and be like, well, that was fun.
Exactly, yeah. And you'll look at pictures of you at 200 and be like, man, what was I thinking?
Yeah, what a fat. Yeah, I mean, even right now, like, not even being, like, stage lean, but looking at photos, because currently, like, 165, 168, putting, like, side-by-side to 190, it's like, fuck, I looked fat. You don't see it at the time.
Man, I can't see you getting down to 145. I know you'll get there, especially with Cliff. But, man, you look like on point at 165 right now.
Yeah, like I was – so when I previously competed, I competed 2019 in the spring, and I got to, like, 152, 151 is typically the low end. But what happens for me is because, like, you can probably attest to this. You can always get leaner. Right? Like
Absolutely.
You're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody that's like, you could probably still get maybe a pound or two off.
Never satisfied,
Yeah, and that's where, for me, when I always compete, like 150, 151, I'm like shredded, but I'm like not super shredded.
Yeah, inside out.
So when I linked up with Cliff, and he wanted like photos and stuff, like current physique, last stage photos and all that kind of stuff, and he said, I think we can get you down to like the mid to late 140s, and I was like, holy shit. Especially at the time being like 192, I was like, oh my god, that's a nearly 50-pound prep, and I'm 5'7", like I'm not big.
Did 50 pounds,
Yeah, so I was like, okay, like, if you say so, man, let's do it. So yeah, with where I'm at right now, we hadn't really, obviously still so far out from competing, we hadn't really seen what even 155 looks like. Like, is 155 down to 150 super shredded, or is it still 155 down to 145? We haven't been there yet, so I don't know. Like, it's if I'm 145, like I'm gonna be ridiculously peeled.
And to bring light to that, I'm glad that it's not all about conditioning nowadays, because you at 150. Yeah, you might be leaner at 145, obviously, but you might look better at 150, which I find a lot of guys are over-dieting nowadays.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember who was talking about that not too long ago, but yeah, there was kind of this, like, period, the last, like, year to 2 years, where it was just, like, guys are just trying to get so lean that it took away from the look, right? It took away fullness, Absolutely. It took away shape, and at the end of the day, we're still bodybuilders, right? We're not competitive dieters.
Yes.
And you're right. I posted a photo today, actually. It was an ab and thigh before I was going out for finals, and it was after I had like a burger between like finals and prejudging. And I think by the time I carb up, I'm closing in on 160 actually. after the weigh-ins, because I have to, kind of same as you were mentioning earlier about like not eating and stuff.
Yeah,
because our cap up here anyways is 154, and typically the morning of, because weigh-ins are always the Friday evening, for example, the morning of I'm always like 153, and I'm like, shit, I gotta fast basically and not eat or drink anything, or I'm gonna be over weigh-ins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to do that, and as much as it sucks. And then when I have to like aggressively eat Friday night and drink a lot of water, and thankfully it's never steered me wrong, because we kind of have the formula figured out. But Cliff said, he's like, that's not ideal. Like obviously you want to try to be able to carb up, for 24 hours, for example, into the show.
Yeah,
that's why he wanted me leaner.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, it's being pushed back every freaking week, it feels like, but you know what? It'll be worth it in the end.
So what's your plan for now? Do you want to go up in weight? Do you want to try to maintain where you're at and make it?
Yeah, so right now, so what had happened was, so I was originally going to compete in this past May.
Okay.
So I had started prep in November, December of 2019.
Okay.
I was like 25, 24 weeks out, whatever it was. And that's when I had started at like 192 when I was with my previous coach.
Okay.
And around 12 or 11 weeks out, we got wind that, I couldn't cross the border because I was going to go down to compete in the INBF again.
Because of the virus?
That's correct. So I couldn't cross the border. So we called prep off. Everything up here was canceled. I was like, okay, maybe 2020 is a wash. Then, as I think it was probably April-ish, so I called it off maybe February. Around April-ish, I'd got wind of this show in Alberta in October.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's in Canada. I can fly out there, do my thing, fly home, no problem. So then
how long of a flight is that from where you're at?
What's that?
How far is that from where you're at?
To fly out, maybe 2 hours.
All right, that's not terrible.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, if this is my chance to turn pro, I want to work with Cliff. I've been eyeing him up for a long time. If this is my chance to work with him and really do something cool, I'm gonna do that. Told my previous coach who works with mostly enhanced athletes.
Okay.
And I'd been with him for a long time, and I just said, look, man, like no hard feelings. This is what I want to try to do. Cliff has a great, knowledge base and reputation. Obviously,
he'll get you there.
His resume speaks for itself, right?
Absolutely.
And my coach was more than, no problem, man. Like you do whatever you want to do, whatever you think's best. You always have my support. So very, very grateful for that. So Sean, if you're listening to this, which you're probably not, thank you. So anyways, then Cliff was like, okay, we basically need to start prep now, because I think it was around 24 weeks out when I had contacted him. And I was at that time probably around 175 to 180. So I didn't rebound like crazy. I just kind of settled and let my body do what it was going to do.
Were you still tracking at that point, or did you just start intuitively eating?
Intuitive,
okay.
Yeah. So
that's an approach you take too in the off season. You don't track. You just kind of eat till you full and then some. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Same with you. I habitually eat protein with every meal. I eat well. It's just if I want a treat, I'm not gonna like restrict myself like crazy. I'm not gonna eat till I'm fat. But like if I want some cookies for dessert, I'm gonna eat them in the off season, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So reached out to Cliff. He's like, yeah, man, like I think you're gonna do really well. Let's get it, but we got to start ASAP, and we can't really afford any mistakes. I was like, no worries, man. Like on prep, I'm a robot. I'll do whatever you tell me. Mm-hmm. So we got down to 167 ish.
Okay, so he brought you back down pretty fast.
Yeah, we got and that was at like 17 weeks out, so we still had like loads of time, and I was I was stoked, yeah. And then I got wind of that, like I mentioned earlier, the 2 weeks restriction before, 2 weeks after, and I was like, man, like I can't make this happen. And originally Cliff wanted me to wait till next spring because of everything that's going on. He's like, honestly, like if you are game for this, I think we should just wait. And at first, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's do a little off season together. Then we'll prep at the end of this year for spring next year.
Okay.
So that was the original game plan. And then like 2 weeks go by, and I learn about this October show, and I was like, I really want to do it. He's like, okay, You know my recommendations to wait till next year, but if you're hell-bent on doing this, I think we can do it. Let's go. I said, sweet, let's do it.
Awesome.
Turns out, here we are, pulled the plug on it again, unfortunately.
Man, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah. In hindsight, you know what, is what it is. Getting a house now, probably best to put prep off anyways.
Definitely. Take care of stuff and then be settled in for next year.
You got
so
it.
Do you have a target show for next year? Or?
So now the plan is to do the spring shows that I was supposed to do this year, next year. So that is the INBF Natural USA and the Empire State Cup.
Okay. The Natural USA is that's the one that has the pro division, right?
No.
Is that the Nancy Andrews show?
No, that's the Ayatomasi brothers.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, so that would be April. If it goes the same schedule they ran, it'll be April, and then the other show is in May. So I had done the INBF show last April 2019. I came second. And,
second? Okay.
Yeah, I was pissed. So I want to go back and hopefully walk away with a card.
So that's why you're on the warpath for 2020.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so now the plan is to kind of, Cliff didn't say like really what, from a weight perspective, he's like, we're going to just kind of see what your body does with X macros and go from there. I feel good right now at like 165 to 170. So I think the goal will probably be to just hold this weight relatively easily, because if I'm going to compete in the spring, it basically means like November we start prep again. So I only would have like I think from now to November is only like 12 weeks. So that's not enough time to like off
really
season to push my weight up at all. And I'll just kind of hang out here, especially once I get my gym set up. Like I'll be happier and ready to go. And then
we're pretty much on the same page. That's like my exact plan right now. I'm about 160 pounds right now. Only about 10 over. So I'm going to try to only go up about 2 or 3 from here.
Yep.
And then start to chip away again in the winter. So pretty much same exact schedule you're on.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah.
Where do you intend to compete? Like, what's the show target?
There is, I don't remember the name of it. It's hosted by Nancy Andrews. She's the president of WNBF. It's in Boston in June. I'm going to shoot for that. It's usually like the third week in June. They didn't announce the dates in 2021 yet. And then I'd like to do the WNBF Pro Universe in September, New York City. And then push to Worlds in November. So it's going to be a long season, but I'm excited.
My plan was to do, a similar thing, is to compete like this year. I was going to do the spring shows, and then up here we have the Canadian Nationals in the summer, which I was qualified for, so I was going to do that. And then
awesome.
I know Worlds has an amateur and a pro division, so I was going to go to Worlds regardless. It was just a matter of under what title.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
awesome,
so, I mean, if all goes planned, I might see you next year, brother.
Yeah, we're going to be on the same page, bro. Yeah, it's going to be a marathon season.
Yeah. Got to make up for this year, because this year's been a write-off, right?
Yeah. I feel like next year's going to be a good year, though. There's a lot of people chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Do you think, so you being only 10 pounds over, do you think as you get more kind of later in your training career, for example, as a competitor, the need to get overly heavy in the off season starts to diminish?
It's funny you mention that. I was just talking about that with one of my friends. I'm not sure. This is the first time I've ever stayed relatively close to stage weight.
Sure.
So I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
We'll see if I look better or I look worse. So I feel good right now. I'm a pretty active guy, so I can put away a lot of calories right now. I tracked my food for a couple of days last week, and I'm maintaining on about 3,300 calories a day.
Yep.
So I'm going to slowly push it to like 35, 36, see what my weight does, and probably not go over that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it puts you in a great position to start prep, right? Like, if you're 10 pounds over on 3,600 calories, like, you could do a 20-week prep, but just, like, cruise and just get peeled.
That's my goal. I kind of ran like a little trial and error run. I started dieting this past October, and I got down to about 160 by March.
Yep.
I slowly crept my calories up to about 3,700 a day through May. So it took about 2 months to get there, and I only gained about 2 pounds on the scale, and condition was looking almost identical.
That's
so
crazy.
basically, I'm trying to recreate that and maybe even go beyond and then dig into shows for 2021.
Nice. So when do you anticipate starting prep?
It's kind of up in the air right now. I'm thinking anywhere from late December to early February. I really got to see kind of how I'm looking, where my calories are at. So, but
I'm hopeful that all this shit is taken care of by the end of the year. Because if this starts to bleed into 2021,
Oh yeah, no, it's I'm in the same boat. I don't want to start digging again and then have to wait another year.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, right? Like I don't want to, like when we intend to start prep, say November, like we better have a clear idea that 2021's looking promising because I don't want to it's not that it is. Like I'm not really making any progress from now till prep starts, right? Like I'm not going to really gain a whole lot of new tissue, if any, and I'm not getting any leaner.
Yeah.
So
in a couple months, you're just building metabolic capacity.
Yeah, so it's like, and that's never the goal of just chilling. You know what I mean? Like I'm either gaining or I'm getting shreded, right? Like that's the life of a bodybuilder.
Nature of the beast. Yeah, nobody wants to be just maintaining. It's not why we got into the sport.
Yeah, so it'll be hopefully come the winter and fall we have a clear cut.
Yeah, and I'll see you on the world stage, man. Hopefully it's a Banter Pro. It'd be awesome.
It's crazy too, because some places are making you wear masks on stage.
Yeah, that's a little wacky too, But hey, whatever. If it gets it done, whatever.
I hate that. I can't imagine that. I really can't.
Yeah, dude, I wear a mask every day at work, all day.
Me too.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. I know there's a company now that's actually printing. You send them a picture of your face, and they print your face on the mask. So I think that's honestly what I would do if it came down to me competing. And it was like, okay, Leroy, the show will run, but you need to wear a mask. I'll get my face on a mask.
Oh, man. That's like some serial killer shit, man. I don't know about that.
That's like the Purge.
Yeah, like the Purge, yeah. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
All right, man. Let's close this out with some wise words. As someone who's now, would you say, 17 years in the game?
17 years, yeah.
17 years. So let's say there's a 17-year-old listening right now. He's just getting into it. What do you tell him? He wants to be a pro natural bodybuilder by the time he's 30.
You got to love the game. It's not so much about competing. It's you got to love going to the gym and progressing, For me, training, like I said, competing is just a means to an end. I'll be training for the rest of my life, but I probably won't be competing for the rest of my life.
Yep.
I absolutely love being in the gym. I love getting stronger. I've made the best friends of my life in the gym. I've learned basically how to be a man in the gym, how to fail, how to get up, how to get back down. You got to love training in the process.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're seeing, unfortunately, because of social media, a bit of an influx of people that only train because they think they want to compete. Whereas, like, same as you, I was in the gym long before I even had any idea of potentially stepping on stage, right?
Yeah, like I was saying to you when we first started chatting, I'm not that big on social media for that exact reason. Like, I started competing before social media even existed, and I think it was actually a little bit better back then because people competed for the right reasons.
Yep. Nowadays,
everybody thinks they're a rock star. Everybody, look at me, look at me doing mediocre stuff and putting all these fancy hashtags. I don't know. I have social media, but it's more like me traveling. My wife. I'll put bodybuilding stuff up here and then, but.
Yep.
But I appreciate the stuff like guys like you put out, because you can tell you actually love the sport. You're not doing it for to be his douchebag Insta fame.
There's no fame that's coming along with this stuff. Let me tell you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I say the inflated ego is more so than fame.
Yeah. The one thing that doing that little Natty news page has taught me is that I ain't shit because I scroll through that page and look at all the pros that I've posted, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got a long way to go.
Dude, I look at some of the juniors that you post, I'm like, man, this guy makes me look like a child.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's good though, because then that's the good part of it, because you get to see what can be accomplished from free. You get to see these guys all over the world that really make you think like, wow, all right, it can be taken that far.
Yeah, that's just it, right? Like the idea that there's limitations are the only ones that you put in front of yourself, right? Because
absolutely,
even for me, looking at a couple of your stage photos that you've posted, I'm like, okay, like he's a lightweight just like me, and look what he looks like, and we're arguably probably very much identically framed. It's just time and effort, right? That's all it is.
That's it. Yeah, love for the game and just always trying to get better and consistency.
Yeah, man.
It's like I said, it's very boring on paper. Like I'm a very boring dude by nature, but that's what makes you good at this sport. just the same thing day in, day out, just getting better at it.
Yep, 100%.
The boring stuff,
Right on, brother. Good way to close this out.
All right, yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we'll see you in 2021, man. If these shows take place.
Yeah, man. Quickly, if anybody does want to give you a follow, where can they find you?
My Instagram name, the handle, it's Ray with 8 A's. So Ray. So it's
I love it.
You won't see much exciting stuff on there, but if you want to, knock yourself out.
Awesome. Right on, man. All right, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for future episodes, and we'll see you guys in the next one.